I'm back. And I've had a lot of people ask me about using my Xbox controller, and I only use it for flying. I have a helicopter right there that we're about to hop into, and I'll show you an example of that. The thing is, with the Xbox controller, there's so many different commands that you use your keyboard for that you can't program your controller to match all that kind of stuff. So the commands that it does allow you to do is you can zoom in and out. You can go into with the left trigger. You can go into first person with the right analog stick by pressing the key down. You can look around by using the right analog stick. You move around using the left analog stick, and depending on how far forward you move it depends on how fast you're going to go. So I'm slowly moving it forward. We're just jogging all the way as full sprint. You can crouch down using the left analog stick. You can't lean left right like you can with a keyboard. So that's one of the disadvantages that you have with using that. Plus, almost every other person that you're going to be playing against is going to be using a keyboard and mouse, so it's going to be a little bit more tricky for you to try and to control shooting and movement with a controller when you're going to be going against people who are using keyboards and mouse, who are going to have a significant advantage over what you can do. You can scroll through, you can reload your gun with X, you can swap through settings, you can set it to full auto. You can see your F key on your keyboard is the Y key on the controller. B is prone. You can just go straight down. Oops. And A is like your enter key on the keyboard. I'm sure if you wanted to, you could try programming it to do all these different functions. You probably could control it where you could set the top buttons, the left button and right button, to lean back and forth when you're moving. So that's one of the advantages that you could do if you really wanted to do something like that. Let's go ahead and hop into the chopper. I'll show you a little bit about flying with the chopper. Oops. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the audio down.
Cannot fire.
The JSRS sound mod. I use it for regular Arma, so it's going to sound different with this spitting out to take off. I prefer using the Xbox controller over the keyboard because I feel like I have a lot more control over the helicopter than I do with the keyboard. It's a little bit more tricky. You can fly with the keyboard and mouse. I've tried doing it before. I just feel I'm more confident using the Xbox controller for this. So basically, instead of using the mouse, going forward, pitching the chopper forward so the nose goes down and up is the left analog stick. The yaw is the left analog stick. See, I'm going back and forth. Altitude is controlled also with the left analog stick, so it's a little bit more easier instead of trying to press the Q and Z while you're trying to turn. You can go down with the analog stick. So basically, I can roll the chopper, pitch the nose with the left one, and I can turn it back and forth with this. I can zoom in with the left trigger. The right trigger would be firing the weapons that are on here. There's no weapons on the Huey on this one. You can fire. It's not programmed on here, but you can set it so you can launch flares. There's no flares on this as well. And you can scroll through the different buttons here. A will pull up the auto hover, the engine off, and eject buttons. You can pull up the map, but there's no way to turn it off. On here on the right mouse button, the controller button, you can see I just pulled up the map, but you can't close it, unfortunately, when you're using something like that. I did want to mention one of the things that I do see a lot when I'm watching other people fly is a lot of people, when they're flying on here, are not familiar with flying, and it's a lot easier to use auto hover when you're trying to land. And I also see a lot of people use it when they're trying to attempt to land. So I'll show you an example of a quick way of using auto hover, possibly the correct way, as to opposed to what I see a lot of other people trying to do with auto hover. Depending on how fast you're going, I'm going to go ahead and put it into auto hover, going almost 200. So what's going to end up happening is when you put in an auto hover, your nose of the chopper is going to climb incredibly high for your chopper to try and slow down. And then being up so high, it's going to take a lot longer for you to go down to land. And I suggest when you do attempt to land, don't hold down the Z key all the way until you hit the ground, because you can destroy the engine if you land too hard onto the ground. And then, I mean, if you just spent a couple hours putting the helicopter together, you just wasted all of it and have to go find new parts because you landed too hard. The way that auto hover can help you is by, what you want to do is have more control over the chopper. So if you're trying to fly and land into more of a tight area, see if we can find a spot over here that we can try and land. Like, this would be more of a trickier kind of spot to land if you wanted to try and land over in this position over here. Instead of trying to control your chopper, trying to pitch and roll it and make sure that everything is right, because you can, if you're not paying attention. You see my chopper slowly going backwards. I could hit some trees. It's going forward or to the side. I could crash and destroy the rotors. So what we're going to do is we're going to go about to the height, the tree level height. I'm going to put it in auto hover, and what it's going to do, it's going to do all of that work for me. And what I'm doing now is I'm holding Alt down. I'm looking around, and it'll allow me to land a lot easier. So it's taking a lot of the work out of trying to control the chopper going down, and you can make a lot safer landing in a tighter area, as opposed to trying to control the chopper the whole entire time while you're trying to land. I have noticed, I have seen a lot of people trying to fly in auto hover as well, because it's a lot easier to try and fly in auto hover. But the thing is when you're flying in auto hover, what it's going to constantly be doing is that if I go forward, it's going to pitch back up every single time, because it's stuck in that position. What it's trying to do is control it like you're trying to land. It's going to try to auto-correct whatever you're trying to do to prevent you from going forward. So hopefully this helps you. If you have any more questions or anything like that, feel free to ask. I'm going to show you guys how to use the keyboard and mouse. I'm going to go ahead and land this, and we'll go ahead and get that next.